David, the director, led Martha, Jason, and Sarah with Max through the busy movie set. People stopped working to look at them as they passed by. Many smiled and waved at Martha and Max. Word has spread about what happened in the park, David explained to Martha. Everyone here has seen the video. They're all very impressed with how Jason helped you. Martha blushed a little. She was not used to so much attention. We have a special chair for you right next to mine, David said, showing Martha to a comfortable chair with the word director on the back. And we set up a quiet corner for Max to rest. Sarah placed Max's cushion in the corner where it was peaceful. The small dog settled down comfortably, looking around with interest at all the new sights. Today we're filming a scene where Jason's character discovers that the bad guys are planning to bomb the city bridge, David told Martha. It's a tense scene with lots of dialogue. Martha nodded, trying to understand how movies were made. It all seemed very complicated, with so many people doing different jobs. A young woman approached with a tray of drinks and snacks. Would you like some water or coffee, ma'am? Or perhaps a muffin? Water would be nice, thank you, Martha said, feeling like a very important person. David checked his watch. We'll start filming in about 15 minutes. Jason needs to get ready. Sarah will stay with you and explain what's happening. Jason smiled at Martha. Enjoy the show. I'll see you after we finish this scene. As Jason walked away to get ready, Sarah sat in a chair next to Martha. She was very friendly and happy to answer Martha's questions. How long does it take to make a whole movie? Martha asked. Usually about 2 or 3 months of filming, Sarah explained. But then there's a lot more work after that with editing and adding special effects. Martha watched with interest as people adjusted the lights and cameras. Others were moving furniture around to make the set look just right. It was like watching a busy beehive. Soon, Jason returned wearing different clothes. He now had on a dark blue suit that made him look very handsome. A woman followed him, touching up his hair and face with a small brush. That's Lisa, the makeup artist, Sarah whispered to Martha. She makes sure everyone looks perfect on camera. David sat in his director's chair next to Martha. He put on headphones and looked at a small screen in front of him. Places everyone, he called out loudly. The busy movement on the set suddenly stopped. Everyone became very quiet. Jason took his position standing near a desk with a phone in his hand. Ready on set? David asked. A man with a clipboard nodded. Ready, sir. Camera rolling, David called. Another person shouted, Scene 42, take 1. Action. Martha watched in amazement as Jason suddenly changed. His face became serious and intense. He was no longer the kind man who had helped her in the park. Now he was a tough action hero trying to save a city. Jason picked up the phone and began talking. His voice was deeper and more serious than before. Martha could hardly believe this was the same person. I just received the intel, Jason said into the phone. They're targeting the Madison Bridge tomorrow at noon. We need to evacuate the area and set up roadblocks without alerting the terrorists. He paused, listening to an imaginary voice on the other end of the phone. No, we can't bring in the police yet, Jason continued. We have a mole in the department. I don't know who to trust. His acting was so real that Martha almost believed there really were terrorists planning to bomb a bridge. She found herself holding her breath as she watched. Jason slammed down the phone and walked quickly to a map on the wall. He studied it with intense focus, running his finger along what must have been the bridge. I need to stop them myself, he muttered. There's no other choice. Suddenly, David called out, Cut. Perfect, Jason. Let's do one more take from a different angle. Everyone started moving again. Cameras were wheeled to new positions. Lights were adjusted. Martha let out her breath. My goodness, she whispered to Sarah. That was amazing. I really believed him. Sarah smiled. Jason is one of the best actors in the business. That's why he's so popular. David turned to Martha. What did you think of our star's performance? It was wonderful, Martha said honestly. For a moment, I forgot he was acting. David laughed. That's exactly what we want the audience to feel. You have a good eye for talent, Martha. The next morning, Martha woke up early. She was very excited about visiting the movie set. She checked on Max first thing. The small dog was still sleepy but seemed to be feeling better. His tail wagged slowly when he saw Martha. "Good morning, Max," Martha said softly. "How are you feeling today, buddy?" She gave Max his medicine with a small piece of cheese. Then she made herself a cup of coffee and some toast. While eating breakfast, Martha wondered what to wear to a movie set. She wanted to look nice, but not too fancy. Finally, she chose a pretty blue dress that her daughter had given her last Christmas. She had never worn it before because it seemed too nice for everyday use. But today was special. At 9 o'clock, there was a knock at the door. Martha opened it to find not just Jason, but also a young woman standing beside him. "Good morning, Martha," Jason said with a smile. "This is Sarah, my assistant. I hope you don't mind that she came along." "Not at all," Martha said. "Please come in." Sarah smiled warmly at Martha. "It's so nice to meet you. That video of Jason helping you and Max is everywhere online. People can't stop talking about it." Martha looked confused. "Video? What video?" "Someone at the park recorded the whole thing on their phone," Jason explained. "They posted it online, and now millions of people have seen it." Martha sat down on her couch, looking surprised. "Millions of people? Goodness me." "Don't worry," Jason said quickly. "It's all positive. People are just happy to see someone standing up to a bully." Sarah nodded. "The comments are wonderful. Everyone is calling Jason a real-life hero." Martha smiled. "Well, he is a hero to me and Max, that's for sure." Speaking of Max, the small dog had walked slowly into the living room. He went straight to Jason and sniffed at his shoes. Jason knelt down and gently patted Max's head. "Hello there, little fellow. Feeling better today?" Max's tail wagged harder. He seemed to remember Jason and knew he was a friend. "He looks much better," Jason said to Martha. "The medicine must be working." Martha nodded. "Yes, he ate a good breakfast this morning. Dr. Wilson said he should stay quiet for a week, but he can take short, slow walks." Jason stood up. "Well, are you both ready for a visit to a movie set?" Martha smiled excitedly. "Yes, we are. I've never seen a movie being made before." "I brought a special cushion for Max," Sarah said, showing Martha a soft dog bed she had been carrying. "He can rest on this while we're there." They helped Martha get Max settled in Jason's car. Sarah sat in the back seat with Max on his special cushion. Martha sat in the front passenger seat. Jason drove them through the city to a large warehouse building. "This is where we're filming the indoor scenes," Jason explained as they parked. "The action scenes will be shot downtown next week." When they got out of the car, several people with cameras were waiting near the entrance. When they saw Jason, they started taking pictures and calling his name. "Mr. Statham, is this the woman from the video?" "Jason, can we get a picture with you and the dog? How does it feel to be a real-life hero?" Martha looked nervous at all the attention. Jason noticed and put his arm gently around her shoulders. "It's okay," he said quietly. "Just smile and keep walking. We'll be inside soon." Sarah carried Max's cushion with the small dog resting on it. They all walked together toward the building entrance. The photographers kept taking pictures, but no one got too close or blocked their way. Inside the warehouse, everything was different. Large lights hung from the ceiling. Big cameras stood on wheels. People hurried around carrying equipment. One area was set up to look like an office with desks and computers. "This is amazing," Martha said, looking around with wide eyes. "It's like a different world in here." A tall man with a beard walked quickly toward them. He wore a baseball cap and had a clipboard in his hand. "Jason, there you are," the man said. Then he noticed Martha and Max. "And you must be Martha and Max. I'm David Miller, the director. "Welcome to our set." Martha shook his hand. "Thank you for letting us visit, Mr. Miller." David smiled broadly. "Are you kidding? You're our guests of honor today." After Jason paid the vet bill, he carried Max back to his car. The small dog was sleepy from the medicine Dr. Wilson had given him. Martha walked beside Jason, still amazed that a famous movie star was helping her. "I can take you both home now," Jason said as he gently placed Max in Martha's lap. "Where do you live?" "Maple Street," Martha told him. "The small yellow house with white shutters, number 42. Jason drove carefully through the city. At red lights, he noticed people in other cars looking at him with surprise. Some took pictures with their phones. Jason was used to this. Being famous meant people always watched him. "I hope this doesn't make you late for your movie filming," Martha said. Jason checked the time on his car clock. "I have about an hour before I need to be on set." "No need to worry." When they reached Martha's house, Jason helped her and Max inside. The house was small but very clean and cozy. Pictures of Martha's family filled the walls. Some were old and showed a younger Martha with a tall man who must have been her husband. "Would you like some tea before you go?" Martha asked. "It's the least I can offer after all your help." Jason smiled. "That would be nice. Thank you." While Martha made tea in the kitchen, Jason sat on the couch with Max. The small dog had fallen asleep on a soft blanket. Jason gently petted his head. "He's a brave little fellow," Jason said when Martha returned with 2 cups of tea. "Yes, he is," Martha agreed. "He's been my best friend since my husband passed away. I don't know what I would do without him." They drank their tea and talked for a while. Martha told Jason more about her life. She had been a teacher for 40 years before retiring. Her husband had died 5 years ago. Her children lived far away in other states. "They want me to move to a retirement home," Martha said. "But I like my independence, and retirement homes don't always allow pets. I could never leave Max behind." Jason listened with interest. He found Martha's stories about her teaching days very funny. She had a good sense of humor. Meanwhile, something was happening online. The video of Jason standing up to the biker had been posted on the internet. People were sharing it everywhere. Everyone loved seeing a real movie star being a real-life hero. Just as Jason was finishing his tea, his phone rang. He looked at it and saw his agent's name on the screen. "Excuse me, I should take this," he told Martha. Martha nodded and took the empty cups to the kitchen while Jason answered his phone. "Hello, Richard," Jason said. "Jason, have you seen what's happening online?" Richard asked in an excited voice. "You're trending everywhere. There's a video of you defending an old lady and her dog from some biker thug." Jason walked to the window and looked outside. "Yes, that happened this morning." "Is it really such a big deal?" "A big deal. It's huge," Richard exclaimed. "Everyone loves it. The studio executives are thrilled with the publicity right before your movie release." Jason frowned a little. He had not helped Martha and Max to get publicity. He had done it because it was the right thing to do. "That's not why I did it, Richard," Jason said firmly. I know," Richard said quickly. "But it's still great press." "Oh, and the director called. He wants to know if you can bring the lady and her dog to the set tomorrow. He thinks it would make a great story for the movie promotion." Jason looked toward the kitchen where Martha was washing the teacups. He did not want to use her for publicity. But he also thought she might enjoy seeing a movie being made. "I'll ask her, but only if she wants to," Jason said. "No pressure, no cameras in her face. Understand?" Of course," Richard agreed. "Just an informal visit." After ending the call, Jason walked to the kitchen doorway. Martha was drying her hands on a small towel. "Martha," Jason said, "would you and Max like to visit the movie set tomorrow? Only if you feel up to it, of course. Max would need to rest, but you could watch some of the filming." Martha's eyes lit up with excitement. "Oh my, that would be wonderful. I've never seen a movie being made before." Jason drove carefully through the city streets. He did not go fast because he did not want to hurt Max more. The small dog lay in Martha's lap, his eyes half closed. "The vet clinic should be just up ahead," Martha said, pointing to a small building with a blue sign. "It's called Healthy Paws Veterinary Clinic." Jason nodded and turned into the parking lot. He found a spot close to the front door and parked the car. "Wait here," he told Martha. "I'll come around and help you." Jason got out and walked around to the passenger side. He opened the door and gently took Max from Martha's arms. Then he helped Martha out of the low sports car. For an older woman, getting in and out of such a car was not easy. Together, they'd walked into the clinic. Inside, there was a small waiting room with chairs along the walls. A young woman sat behind a desk. She looked up when they came in. "Good morning," she said with a smile. Then her eyes grew wide when she saw who was carrying the dog. "Oh my goodness, you're Jason Statham." Jason nodded but did not smile. "This dog needs help," he said. "He was kicked by a man in the park. I think he might have hurt ribs." The receptionist quickly became serious. "Of course. Let me get Dr. Wilson right away." She picked up a phone and pressed a button. "Dr. Wilson, we have an emergency. A small dog with possible rib injuries." A minute later, a door opened and a woman in a white coat came out. She had kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a ponytail. This was Dr. Wilson. "Please bring the dog into exam room 2, she said, pointing to a door. Jason carried Max carefully, following the doctor. Martha walked beside him, her face full of worry. They entered a small room with a metal table in the middle. "You can put him here," Dr. Wilson said, patting the table. Jason placed Max very gently on the cold metal surface. The small dog whimpered a bit but did not try to move. "What happened?" Dr. Wilson asked as she began to examine Max. Martha explained about the biker who had kicked Max. As she talked, tears filled her eyes again. "If Mr. Statham hadn't been there, I don't know what would have happened," Martha finished. "That awful man might have hurt Max even more, or even hurt me." Dr. Wilson listened while she checked Max all over. She felt his sides very carefully and moved his legs one by one. Then she took out a small light and looked into his eyes. "I'd like to take an X-ray to be sure, but I think you're right about the bruised ribs," she told Jason. "Fortunately, I don't feel any breaks. He's a lucky little dog." Martha sighed with relief. "So he will be okay?" Dr. Wilson nodded. "With rest and care, yes. I'll give you some medicine for his pain. He should feel much better in a few days." While Dr. Wilson took Max to another room for the X-ray, Martha and Jason waited in the exam room. "I can't thank you enough," Martha said to Jason. "Not many people would have stood up to those bikers. They were very scary." Jason shrugged. "It was the right thing to do. I hate bullies. Always have." "Are you really filming a movie here in our city?" Martha asked. Jason nodded. "Yes, we're shooting an action film downtown. I play a former soldier who has to save a city from terrorists." Martha smiled. "That sounds exciting. I don't watch many action movies, but I think I'll watch yours when it comes out." They talked for a few more minutes. Jason told Martha about growing up in England and how he became an actor. Martha told him about her late husband and how Max had been her only companion for the past 5 years. Soon Dr. Wilson returned with Max. The little dog seemed more relaxed now. She had given him something for pain. "The X-rays show no broken bones," Dr. Wilson said with a smile. "Just bruising as we thought. He needs to rest for about a week. No long walks or playing rough." She handed Martha a small bottle of pills. "Give him one of these twice a day with food. It will help with the pain and swelling." Martha took the medicine and put it in her purse. Then she reached for her wallet. "How much do I owe you?" she asked Dr. Wilson. Before the doctor could answer, Jason stepped forward. "Please let me take care of the bill," he said. Martha began to protest, but Jason gently touched her arm. "I insist. It's the least I can do." Spike stood still for a moment, Looking at Jason Statham with anger in his eyes, the famous actor did not look away. They stared at each other in silence. Everyone in the park watched to see what would happen next. Finally, Spike turned and walked toward his motorcycle. His steps were heavy and his back was stiff. He was very angry, but also afraid to fight Jason. Spike knew that Jason was not just an actor who pretended to fight in movies. He was also a real fighter who knew how to defend himself. "This isn't over," Spike muttered as he passed Jason, but he said it very quietly so only Jason could hear him. Jason did not answer. He just watched as Spike got on his motorcycle. The engine roared loudly when Spike started it. With one last angry look at Jason and Martha, Spike drove away fast. His tires made a loud noise on the pavement. The other bikers quickly got on their motorcycles too. None of them looked at Jason or Martha. They were embarrassed that they had not helped their friend, but they were also glad that they did not have to fight Jason Statham. One by one, they drove away from the park. Only after all the bikers were gone did Jason turn to Martha. His face became kind as he knelt down beside her and Max. "Are you okay?" Jason asked in a gentle voice. Martha nodded. She was still holding Max close to her chest. The small dog was not crying anymore, but he still looked scared. "Yes, I think so," Martha said. Her voice shook a little. "But I'm worried about Max. That man kicked him very hard." Jason reached out slowly and let Max sniff his hand. After a moment, the little dog licked his fingers. Jason smiled and gently touched Max's head. "May I take a look at him?" Jason asked Martha. "Of course," Martha said. She carefully let Jason examine the small dog. Jason checked Max very carefully. He felt the dog's legs and sides. Max whimpered a little when Jason touched his right side. "I think he might have a bruised rib," Jason said, "but nothing seems broken. Still, it would be good to have a vet check him to make sure." Martha looked worried. "The vet clinic is about 6 blocks from here. I usually walk, but I don't think Max should walk right now." "I can give you a ride," Jason offered. "My car is right over there." Martha looked surprised. "You would do that for us? You must be very busy. Aren't you Jason Statham, the movie actor?" Jason smiled and nodded. "Yes, I am. But I'm not too busy to help someone who needs it. Let me carry Max for you." Very gently, Jason picked up the small dog. Max seemed to trust him already and settled comfortably in his strong arms. Then Jason helped Martha stand up. She was a bit shaky after what had happened. By now, many people in the park had gathered around. Some had their phones out and were taking pictures or videos. Everyone was surprised to see the famous action star helping an old woman and her dog. "Is that really Jason Statham? Did you see how he stood up to that biker? That was amazing." People whispered to each other as Jason walked with Martha toward the parking lot. He did not seem to notice or care about the attention. He was focused on helping Martha and Max. "My car is this way," Jason said, leading Martha to his black sports car. It was very nice and expensive looking, but Jason did not act proud about it. When they reached the car, Jason carefully opened the passenger door for Martha. He helped her sit down and then handed Max to her. "Hold him carefully," Jason said. "We'll get him to the vet right away." Jason walked around to the driver's side and got in. The car started with a soft purr. Very slowly and carefully, so as not to jostle Max, Jason drove out of the park. Martha held her small dog and looked at Jason with grateful eyes. "Thank you so much for helping us," she said. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't come along." Jason kept his eyes on the road. "I'm just glad I was there," he said simply. "No one should get away with hurting a dog or threatening a lady." Jason Statham walked across the grass with steady steps. His face was serious. The famous actor had seen what the biker did to the small dog. He did not like people who hurt animals or scared old ladies. The bikers still laughed as Jason got closer. They did not notice him yet. Spike stood over Martha with his hands on his hips. He looked very pleased with himself. "Maybe next time you'll keep your mud away from real men," Spike said to Martha. His friends nodded and laughed some more. Jason reached the group and stood directly behind Spike. He was not as tall as the biker, but his body was strong from years of training. Jason removed his sunglasses and put them in his pocket. "I think you owe this lady and her dog an apology," Jason said in a calm but firm voice. The laughter stopped right away. Spike turned around, ready to yell at whoever had interrupted his fun. His angry words died in his throat when he saw who was standing there. Spike's eyes grew wide. He knew who Jason Statham was. Everyone knew the famous action movie star. Spike had even watched many of his films. "This isn't your business, movie star," Spike said after a moment. His voice was not as strong as before. Jason did not move. "You made it my business when you kicked a helpless dog and scared an old woman. That's not what real men do." Martha still sat on the ground holding Max. The small dog had stopped crying but still shook with fear. She watched with surprise as Jason Statham stood up to the mean biker. People walking in the park began to stop and watch. Some took out their phones to record what was happening. No one wanted to miss seeing the famous actor in real life, especially when he was acting like a hero. "There are two choices here," Jason continued. His voice stayed calm, but everyone could feel the power in his words. "You can say sorry and leave this park right now, or you can find out why people pay money to watch me fight in movies." The other bikers began to step back. They looked at each other with worry on their faces. None of them wanted to fight Jason Statham. "Come on, Spike, let's just go," one of the bikers said quietly. Spike did not move. His face turned red with anger and shame. He did not want to look weak in front of his friends, but he also did not want to fight the famous actor. "You think you're tough because you make movies?" Spike asked. He tried to sound brave. Jason took one step closer to Spike. Now they stood face to face. "I'm giving you a chance to do the right thing. Most bullies don't get that chance." Spike looked around. His friends had moved even further away. The people watching had grown to a small crowd. Everyone waited to see what would happen next. Martha watched with wide eyes. She held Max close to her chest. The little dog peeked out from her arms. Spike's hands closed into fists at his sides. For a moment, it seemed like he might try to hit Jason. The actor did not blink or move back. He stood ready, calm but prepared. A tense quiet filled the air. No one in the park made a sound. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. Then Spike's shoulders dropped a little. He knew he had lost. Fighting Jason Statham would only end badly for him. "Fine," Spike said in an angry voice. He turned slightly toward Martha, but did not look at her. "Sorry about the dog." Jason shook his head. "Not good enough. Look at her when you say it. And mean it." Spike's face turned even redder. Being told what to do in front of everyone made him furious. But he had no choice. He looked at Martha. "I'm sorry for kicking your dog," he said. The words clearly hurt him to say. Jason crossed his arms. "And?" Spike swallowed hard. "And it won't happen again." Jason nodded once. "Good. Now it's time for you to leave." The other bikers were already walking back to their motorcycles. They wanted no part of this anymore. Spike stood alone, trapped by his own bad choices and the watchful eyes of Jason Statham. The morning sun shined bright over the city park. It was a beautiful day. Many people walked around enjoying the nice weather. Some jogged on the paths while others sat on benches reading books. Among these people was an old woman named Martha. She was 76 years old with gray hair and kind eyes. Martha walked slowly along the path with her small dog Max. Max was a brown and white terrier with floppy ears and a wagging tail. Martha had saved Max from the animal shelter 7 years ago. Since then, they went for a walk in this park every morning. Martha wore a blue sweater and comfortable walking shoes. She held Max's leash loosely as he trotted beside her. They followed the same path they always took, past the big oak trees and around the small pond where ducks swam. "Come on, Max," Martha said gently when the little dog stopped to sniff at some flowers. "Let's finish our walk so we can go home for breakfast." Near the entrance of the park, 5 men with motorcycles had gathered. They wore leather jackets with patches and had loud voices. People walking by tried to stay away from them. These men did not look friendly. The biggest man in the group had a thick beard and many tattoos on his arms. His friends called him Spike. He drank from a beer bottle even though it was still morning. Spike noticed Martha and Max walking nearby, and a mean smile crossed his face. "Hey guys, look at that old lady and her rat on a string," Spike said to his friends. The other men laughed. Martha did not hear what Spike said. She kept walking with Max, not paying attention to the bikers. The path took them closer to where the men stood with their motorcycles. Max, being a friendly dog, walked a bit too close to the bikers. He wagged his tail and looked up at them. Martha tried to pull them back gently. "Sorry," she said politely. "Max is just being friendly." Spike looked down at the little dog. Without warning, he pulled back his heavy boot and kicked Max hard. The small dog flew through the air and landed with a yelp of pain several feet away. "Max!" Martha cried out. She rushed to her pet, who was now whimpering on the ground. Tears filled her eyes as she knelt down beside her injured dog. The bikers roared with laughter. Spike seemed very proud of what he had done. "That will teach your mutt to stay away from me," Spike said loudly. The other bikers laughed even harder. Martha gathered Max in her arms. The little dog trembled with fear and pain. She looked up at the large man who had hurt her beloved pet. "How could you do such a thing?" Martha asked with a shaking voice. "He didn't do anything to you." Spike took a step toward Martha. His shadow fell over her as she sat on the ground holding Max. She felt afraid but tried not to show it. "What are you going to do about it, Grandma?" Spike asked with a mean smile. Other people in the park had seen what happened. Some looked shocked, but no one stepped forward to help. They were all afraid of the big bikers. Just then, a black sports car pulled into the parking lot near the park entrance. The engine made a low, powerful sound before going quiet. The car door opened, and a man stepped out. He wore a black t-shirt that showed his strong arms and blue jeans. Dark sunglasses covered his eyes. He stood still for a moment, taking in the scene before him. The man was Jason Statham, the famous movie star known for his action films. He had come to the park for some quiet time before going to the movie set where he was filming. But what he saw made him angry right away. Jason watched as the old woman tried to comfort her small dog. He saw the big biker standing over her in a threatening way. Without hesitation, Jason closed his car door and began walking toward the group. His face showed no emotion, but his steps were quick and determined. No one noticed Jason approaching. The bikers were too busy laughing at Martha and Max. They had no idea that everything was about to change. The filming continued for another hour. Martha watched with great interest as Jason did the same scene several times from different angles. Each time, he said the same words but somehow made them sound fresh and real. During a break, Jason came over to check on Martha and Max. "Are you enjoying yourself?" he asked Martha. "Oh yes, very much," Martha replied. "It's all so interesting. I had no idea making movies was such hard work." Jason smiled. "Most people don't realize how many hours it takes to make just a few minutes of film. Are you getting hungry? We'll have lunch soon." Just then, Sarah hurried over with a worried look on her face. She whispered something in Jason's ear. His expression changed to one of concern. "What is it?" Martha asked, noticing their serious faces. Jason hesitated, then said, "The security guards at the entrance say there's a man trying to get in. He's claiming he knows you and wants to apologize." Martha looked confused. "Who would that be?" "They say he's a big man on a motorcycle," Sarah explained. "He matches the description of the biker from the park." Martha's eyes grew wide. Spike, the man who kicked Max. What could he possibly want? Jason's face became serious. I don't know, but I don't like it. I'll go speak to security and see what's going on. Before Jason could leave, David the director walked over. We need you for the next shot in 5 minutes, Jason. Jason looked torn between his work and helping Martha. Sarah quickly offered a solution. I'll go check with security, she said. You finish the scene, and I'll find out what this man wants. Jason nodded reluctantly. Okay, but be careful. And don't let him in unless you're absolutely sure it's safe. Sarah hurried away while Jason went back to the set. Martha sat nervously, gently petting Max, who sensed her worry and pressed closer to her leg. A few minutes later, Sarah returned with a surprising look on her face. The man says his name is Bill, not Spike, Sarah told Martha. He claims he's truly sorry for what happened and wants to apologize in person. He brought flowers for you and a dog toy for Max. Martha looked doubtful. Do you believe him? Sarah thought for a moment. He seems sincere. He's alone, and security has checked that he doesn't have any weapons. He says seeing the video online made him ashamed of his behavior. Martha wasn't sure what to do. The man had been so mean and scary in the park. Could people really change that quickly? What do you think I should do? Martha asked Sarah. It's completely up to you, Sarah said. Security won't let him in without your permission, and if you do want to see him, we can have guards nearby just to be safe. Martha thought about it. Her late husband had always said that everyone deserves a second chance. Maybe this man really did want to make things right. I'll see him, Martha decided. But could you please stay with me? Sarah nodded. Of course. And I'll make sure security stays close too. Sarah used her radio to tell the guards to bring the visitor to a small meeting room away from the main set. She helped Martha carry Max, and they went to the room together. A few minutes later, the door opened. A security guard entered first, followed by a large man holding flowers and a small stuffed toy. It was indeed the biker from the park, but he looked very different now. Spike, or Bill as he called himself, had cleaned up. His hair was combed, and his beard trimmed. He wore a plain blue shirt instead of his leather vest. His head was down, and he looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, he said to Martha in a quiet voice, I came to say I'm really sorry for what I did yesterday. There's no excuse for kicking your dog or scaring you. He held out the flowers awkwardly. I saw the video online and realized what a jerk I was. My mom called me after seeing it, and boy, did she let me have it. Said she raised me better than that. Martha was surprised. This humble man seemed nothing like the scary biker who had laughed after kicking Max. My real name is William Peterson, he continued. My friends call me Bill. Spike is just a stupid nickname I use to sound tough. He looked down at Max, who was watching him carefully from Martha's lap. I brought something for your dog too, Bill said, holding out a small stuffed toy. Again, I'm real sorry. Martha looked at the flowers and the small dog toy that Bill was offering. She was still unsure about trusting this man who had been so mean yesterday, but something in his eyes seemed truly sorry. My dog's name is Max, Martha said finally, taking the gifts. He's still sore from where you kicked him. Bill looked down at the floor, his face red with shame. I know, there's no excuse for what I did. When I saw that video online, I couldn't believe that was me acting that way. Sarah stood nearby, watching carefully. A security guard remained by the door, ready to step in if needed. The video has over 5 million views now, Bill continued. My boss saw it and almost fired me. My friends won't talk to me. And like I said, my mother called me crying, asking where she went wrong raising me. Martha listened quietly. Max seemed relaxed in her lap, not afraid of Bill now that he was calm and speaking softly. What made you act that way in the park? Martha asked. Bill sighed. I had just found out my girlfriend was cheating on me. I was angry and wanted to look tough in front of my friends. But that's no excuse for hurting an innocent dog or scaring you. He looked directly at Martha. I promise I'm not usually like that. I actually volunteer at an animal shelter on weekends. That's why I'm so ashamed of what I did." Just then, the door opened, and Jason walked in. He had finished filming his scene and come to check on Martha. When he saw Bill, he immediately looked concerned. "Everything okay in here?" Jason asked, moving to stand beside Martha's chair. Bill's eyes widened as he recognized the famous actor again. "Mr. Statham, I want to apologize to you too. You were right to stand up to me yesterday. I was way out of line." Jason studied Bill's face for a moment, looking for any sign that he might be lying. "People make mistakes," Jason said finally. "The important thing is learning from them." Bill nodded eagerly. "Yes, sir. I've definitely learned my lesson." Martha looked at the flowers and the small stuffed dog toy. She thought about how easy it would be to stay angry at Bill. But she had been a teacher for 40 years and had seen many troublemakers turn their lives around. "I accept your apology, Bill," Martha said. "And I'm sure Max does too." As if understanding her words, Max cautiously sniffed at the toy Bill had brought. After a moment, the small dog took it gently in his mouth. Bill smiled with relief. "Thank you, ma'am. That means a lot to me." David, the director, knocked on the open door. "Sorry to interrupt, but lunch is being served in the break room. Everyone is welcome." Jason looked at Martha. "Would you like to join the crew for lunch? Max can come too, of course." Martha nodded. "That would be lovely." Then, surprising everyone including herself, she turned to Bill. "Would you like to join us, Bill? I think everyone deserves a second chance." Bill looked shocked. "Are you sure? After what I did?" Jason seemed uncertain for a moment, but then he saw the kindness in Martha's eyes. This was why he had wanted to help her in the park. She was a truly good person. "Martha's right," Jason said. "Everyone deserves a second chance when they're truly sorry. Come on, Bill." Together, they all walked to the break room where the film crew was gathering for lunch. People looked surprised to see Bill with them, but Jason quickly explained the situation. "This is Bill," Jason told everyone. "He made a mistake yesterday, but he's here to make it right. Let's show him how friendly film people can be." The crew welcomed Bill, offering him food and asking questions about his work at the animal shelter. Soon, he was telling them about the puppies he had helped find homes for. Martha sat at a table with Max beside her, watching how one small event in the park had changed so many lives. Jason joined her with 2 plates of food. "You're an amazing woman, Martha," Jason said as he sat down. "Not many people would forgive so easily." Martha smiled. "Life is too short to hold on to anger. And look how things have turned out. Max is going to be fine. You and I have become friends, and Bill might have learned something important about himself." Jason nodded. "When I stepped in at the park, I never imagined all this would happen. Sometimes the smallest actions can have the biggest results." As if to agree, Max wagged his tail and played with his new toy. Martha knew this was a story she would tell her grandchildren for years to come. The day a movie star and a biker taught her that people can surprise you in both good and bad ways, but kindness always wins in the end.